Welcome everybody back to Flight Past, and this is part 12 of our series about Operation Tonga. And in the last episode we finished off talking about the capture of Horsa and Pegasus Bridge, and we did an overview of the 6th Airborne Division's area of responsibility. And today we're going to start to talk about I would say a slightly lesser known but probably even more incredible story, which was the assault of the Merville Battery on D-Day. And I wanted to start the story back in England, and we're going to show you here the plan that we've got. What I want to do is come down to Boscombe Down, which is here, and this will set as our departure point, and we're going to end up flying over the drop zone for the battery, for where they took on the battery. Now the battery is around here. This is where my cursor is right now, and the drop zone was to the northwest of Varaville, so it's this area here. So let's put the arrival here. Now, before we get there, let's come up here to the Broadmoor House and show that again, which is here, also known as Bridge Marston House. And I want to then talk about a place called Walbury Hill. Now, this is always a little bit tricky to find. There's Oldbourne, by the way. Now, Walbury Hill was somewhere down here. It was this place. So we'll head up here, and once we've done that, we'll fly up to near Abingdon, and what we're looking for is Harwell, and we were looking for RAF Harwell, which is this place here. So we'll fly up here. This is the place where they will take off on the 5th of June to do their mission. And I'm going to make an assumption here that they did something similar to Major Howard's lot, in that they came up or flew up possibly to Farnborough, somewhere, but they probably navigated their way down south but I believe they crossed again, possibly near Shoreham, just because of the ability of the airfields to guide the aircraft. So we'll put Shoreham in here as a waypoint, and that will then send us on a directly southern route down to the drop zone. Okay, so let's go and have a look here. Just remind everybody, so what we're talking about here is Broadmoor. People talk about Broadmoor. It's codenamed Broadmoor because, well, it's either because it was known as the Madhouse, or it was known as the the Madhouse because it was codenamed Broadmoor. It's not to be confused with Broadmoor itself, which is a psychiatric hospital in Berkshire. There was certain levels of secrecy involved, and if you had access to this house, you had the plans that were used in this building, which is this building here, had the top secret status BIGOT, and so if you had access to those that information, then you were deemed to be bigoted, which is kind of cool. If you want to hear a little bit more about that, you can. I spoke about it quite a lot on the Major John Howard's discussion. So what we're doing now is we're talking about D-Day. It's the 6th Airborne Division's role in the actual D-Day, and we've spoken about this many times, but it's basically they were to secure the eastern end of the invasion landing section. Their mission was to establish a bridgehead over the River Orne and the Caen Canal, in order to disrupt German counterattacks from the east. They were a number of missions. They were to try to capture the 2 bridges at Merville and Varaville, which we have discussed a lot about, which is the Pegasus Bridge and Horsa Bridge, and they were to destroy 5 bridges along the River Dives, which was to the east, and the third major part of the operation was to neutralize a battery of guns at Merville. So it's all designed to disrupt the counterattack from the Germans, force them to move around and through Caen, and not come across the bridges onto these and attack the landing units at Sword. And the Merville Battery was neutralize this battery because it was believed it contained some guns, 150mm caliber, which had a range of about 8 miles, and therefore was capable of targeting the whole of Sword Beach. With many of these operations, there was some contingency plans. For example, it wasn't expected that D Company of the 2nd Battalion Ox and Bucks would capture the bridges intact. So they was taking a lot of dinghies and things like that to go. And with the Merville Battery, and they were bombing it from the air, but it needed to be, the job to neutralize the battery had to be done by a certain time, otherwise it would be targeted by a naval bombardment. So let's we've got to a place here just below us, which is called Walbury Hill. And it just loads in here. So this is Walbury Hill. So we're going to. This is part of the planning on the capture of the Merville Battery. So we spoke about Major John Howard, and now we're going to talk about Lieutenant Colonel Terence Otway. He was a 29 years old man. He was given command of 9th Battalion of the 3rd Parachute Brigade. He had therefore 600 men under his charge, including a troop of sappers from the 501st Antrim Parachute Squadron of the Royal Engineers. Their task is to, as I say, neutralize the battery. They would be supported by 8 Horsa gliders, 5 of which would be bringing in jeeps, stores, anti-tank ammunition, explosives, and 3 of them would be carrying 50 volunteers who would land similar to the bridge attacks, with a coup de main landing the gliders actually on top of the Merville Battery. So Otway is giving BIGOT clearance, and he is shown back at Broadmoor the plans of the battery. It's obviously surrounded with barbed wire and minefields, trenches. It's got 4 heavy concrete gun emplacements, and they're, as I say, they're believed to contain 150 millimeter caliber guns. They and so could cover the beaches and the port of Ouistreham. Each gun is in a steel emplacement with steel doors and covered in 12 feet of earth. The defenders from the resistance reports are believed to be 180 to 200 men, and they are located in an underground control room and various emplacements and pillboxes dotted around the site. The position of the battery is a circular position, 400 yards in diameter. It's surrounded by a double apron of barbed wire with a 100-yard deep minefield. And there's a village nearby that contains more troops. Lieutenant Colonel's Terence Otway's line commander is Brigadier Major Bill Collingwood, and so his instructions to Otway is to plan an assault on this battery, and one where they will be landing at 20 minutes past 12 on the 6th, and on a drop zone that's 2,400 yards away, and they needed to get the battery destroyed by 4:50 a.m. So let's we can talk about Otway's plan in detail as we go through. But I wanted to talk about this place in particular because this is in April 1944, and a bit like Howard, Otway is given a lot of resources to help him plan. He and Bill Collingwood looked for an area, and they noticed this this ridge here, and they wanted to plan an attack. So in April 1944, they spot this area and they believe it's ideal for them to do their preparations. Now, it's not clear which part of this ridge they used, but I did a reconnaissance on Twitch the other day, and for me, this area here is ideal, and the reason is because Otway himself mentions the fact that it is ideal for live ammunition training because there's no all the hills cover it. Now, so he mentions in his diary that him and Bill Collingwood flew over this area and they noticed this place called Walbury Hill. I did say that right. I haven't put this on properly, haven't I? Let me just check. I'm sorry, I've misspelt it. It's called Walbury. Walbury. And he mentions in his diary that it's a long ridge about 800 feet high, very narrow at the top. So he says it was ideal, which this looks like, this ridge here looks like. He says it was. They said it was ideal for live ammunition. He says he then visits the farmer, and the farmer was very willing to help, which he said was really useful because he didn't want to have to use a compulsory order on him. Another landowner in the area was actually owned by a retired lieutenant colonel, so the same rank as him, from the First World War, and he said he was a little bit more reluctant, but he managed to persuade him with a gin. The powers that he has is quite impressive because he's getting a lot of red tape from the civil service for this, but he wants basically to do a recreation of the Merville Battery in this area and then conduct exercises. He says he built a whole replica of the route, not just the battery but the route from the landing zone. They said they included every hedge, every ditch, every fence they would put in place in this area. Whether or not we can see any clues to that today is probably not going to be happening. But when you look at the area and you're looking at this, it seems to me that this dip here, it seems perfect for running an operation that's going to be secret. You could put the battery somewhere down here. You even got a little round markings here. You can never tell, but maybe, possibly. It's you could then have down here. You could have a mock drop zone, but as you can see, like, you can conduct a whole sort of 2,400 yard march into this area here, putting features onto the map, onto the landscape to help. Whether or not this is the place, I don't know, but this is the general area of it. He was, and it makes sense because he was so concerned about secrecy. So having it in a sealed area like this makes sense, because you can have people up here making sure that no one can see what's going on, and it keeps it quite stops what people viewing it. And he was so concerned about the secrecy that he actually requested some WAFs. They're the Women Auxiliary from the RAF, and he told them that he wanted them to go to Newbury, which is I believe it's the nearest largest town. Which could be over here. So he sent these women. He got 12 of them, and he sent them into Newbury during when they were doing these exercises. So we're talking probably May time, April, May. And he said he didn't want to know what they got up to when they were in Newbury, but they wanted to find out, basically, if there was any rumours or anything going on about what was happening on the Walbury Hill. Now, presumably, local people today know a little bit more about the location of this place. I can see from there's a memorial near Coombe Gibbet, and And it says, it basically reads, in the fields and woods below this hill in May 1944, the 9th Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel T.B.H. Otway, DSO, rehearsed plans for their successful assault on the German coastal artillery battery at Merville, France, before the seaborne troops landed in the invasion of Normandy on the 6th of June 1944. The replica of the Merville Battery was built in, I think it was about 7 days. Yeah, they built it in 7 days, which is pretty impressive. And there was, I think, 9 different rehearsals conducted over 5 days, with 4 of them by night. So that is Walbury Hill. So let's now continue on. Actually, let's call that the end of that part, and we'll take a little break, and then when we come back, we'll move on to RAF Harwell. So take a quick break, and we'll be back in a second.